Imagine standing in a courtroom, every eye fixed on you, not as a witness, not even as a defendant, but as someone whose words might shift the balance of power. Now imagine the judge, a man robed in authority, leaning forward, not to listen but to strike. This was the moment Karoline Leavitt faced. Not in a movie, not in a novel, but in the very real, very high-stakes arena of Courtroom 4, Eastern District of Virginia. A place where truth was supposed to matter, and yet, today, it was being crushed under the weight of judicial ego. The gallery was packed, not just with reporters and aides, but with people who understood that something bigger was unfolding, something that could redefine legal precedent or break it entirely. The room smelled faintly of coffee, paper, and tension. Every cough, every shuffle of a foot, sounded unnaturally loud in the otherwise electric silence. Karoline sat upright in the witness chair, a navy blazer framing her shoulders like armor. Her hands were clasped tightly in her lap, hiding the slight tremble that belied her steel-trap focus. Across from her, Judge Douglas Whitaker adjusted his glasses, his gaze cutting like glass. "Miss Leavitt," he began, voice sharp as a scalpel, "this is the second time you've interrupted counsel." Karoline's attorney shifted in his seat, inhaling, but stopped as Pam Bondi laid a hand on his arm. Her silent message, "Wait. Hold." Karoline took a breath. "Your Honor, with due respect, I'm not interrupting. I'm correcting a factual misstatement." A ripple moved through the gallery. Journalists perked up, pens scratched paper. Some raised eyebrows. Others simply stared. Judge Whitaker's lip curled ever so slightly. "Miss Leavitt, this courtroom is not a stage for political theater." Karoline didn't flinch. "I am respondent truffelli. Under oath. That's not politics, it's duty." The judge leaned back, clearly not pleased. "Your continued disruptions suggest otherwise. I am warning you for the final time." The tension in the room doubled. Even the court clerk lowered her pen. Across the defense table, Pam Bondi's eyes narrowed. She wasn't just watching, she was reading every second like a chessboard. "Your Honor," Karoline said again, voice low but firm, "if the record contains inaccuracies, I believe it is my responsibility to clarify. That is not disruption. That is justice." There was a beat of silence, then a sound no one expected. Judge Whitaker slapped his palm on the bench. "I find Miss Leavitt in contempt of court," he barked. "Bailiff, take the defendant into custody." Gasps broke out. Cameras weren't allowed, but phones beneath jackets recorded discreetly. Reporters scrambled for their notepads. Even the assistant district attorney looked sideways, unsure of how far this would go. The bailiff hesitated. "Ma'am, please stand," he said softly. Karoline stood without hesitation. Her fingers adjusted the lapel of her blazer with deliberate grace. If she was going down, she was doing it with dignity. "Hands behind your back," came the next instruction. She complied. The cuffs clicked shut like a prison door. No crying, no outburst, just silence. Thick, heavy, judgmental silence. "Your Honor, this is excessive," her attorney finally stood. "Objection is overruled," Whitaker snapped. His voice, final and absolute. Pam Bondi didn't rise. Not yet. Instead, she opened her folder slowly, selected a document, and waited for just the right moment. As the bailiff touched Karoline's elbow to lead her away, Pam finally stood. "Your Honor," she called out, her voice not loud but impossibly commanding, "the defense formally objects to this ruling and introduces an emergency stay." Whitaker blinked. "There is no such stay entered into the record." "It is now," Pam replied. She handed a sealed document to the clerk. "This stay," she said, "was filed at 9:45 a.m. today under the authority of Judge Harlan, Eastern District. It halts any enforcement actions pending federal review." The clerk scanned the document. Her eyes widened slightly. "Verified," she said aloud. "Filed and active." Whitaker took the paper, read the heading, and clenched his jaw. The hands on the courtroom clock ticked mercilessly. Pam's eyes didn't waver. "Respectfully, this court no longer has jurisdiction to proceed with contempt enforcement." The judge didn't reply. He simply nodded once, stiffly. "We will recess for 10 minutes." The gavel struck. Karoline was still cuffed, but unmoved. Pam leaned close. He overplayed. We anticipated this. You're not going anywhere. Karoline gave the faintest nod. Then we keep going. Outside the courtroom, tension exploded on social media. Leaks describe the scene in real time. Leavitt arrested. Pam Bondi intervenes. Emergency, stay, halts, judges move. But inside, everything was calm. At least for now. The recess ended. The judge returned, eyes darker than before. The stay is recognized. Contempt proceedings are suspended. It wasn't an apology. It wasn't even grace. It was just a retreat. The prosecution may call its next witness, he said. Eric Samuel stood, once again confident. We call Andrew Keller. A government economist in a precise gray suit took the stand. White rim glasses. No nonsense. He adjusted the mic. Samuels pounced quickly. Did Miss Leavitt exaggerate job loss numbers in her televised remarks? Keller nodded. Substantially. Her figures projected losses at 450,000. Our official estimate is 175,000. By what percentage did her numbers inflate the reality? Roughly 157%. The courtroom reacted like it had been slapped. Pam remained unreadable. Samuels finished his setup. Would you say her remarks were misleading? Keller didn't hesitate. Yes. Judge Whitaker sat straighter. But then, Daniel Reeves rose for cross. Mr. Keller, did you have access to Miss Leavitt's sources? No. Then it's possible she used alternative models? Yes. Are labor projections uniform? No. Variance is standard. And is it possible that regional job loss could differ from national averages? Yes. Regional analysis can show much higher losses. Reeves smiled. So we can agree that while the figures differ, they are not inherently false. Keller paused. I suppose that's correct. Pam scribbled one word, cornered. Then came the defense's own expert, Evan Patel. Calm, peer-reviewed, bulletproof. Our analysis was commissioned independently, he explained. It modeled regional economic impacts, particularly in states with heavy manufacturing dependency. He outlined the methodology. Transparent, publicly available. Samuels tried to press. Wasn't your number alarmist? No, Patel replied. It was specific, not general. Could it have misled the public? No more than any national average could. By the time he stepped down, the prosecution's case was bleeding. But Whitaker had one more card to play. He called Melissa Hayes, a producer, not a politician, not an expert, a witness to optics. Did you coordinate with any political PACs? No. Did Leavitt's team provide talking points? Yes, standard topics, nothing scripted. Any indication of outside influence? None whatsoever. With that, the room exhaled. It was over. Everyone knew it. The next morning, Whitaker returned with a ruling. No evidence of deliberate deception. No evidence of coordination. No sanctions will be pursued. Pam stood. Any concern about decorum was resolved under the stay. It cannot color this court's findings. Whitaker said nothing. The gavel fell. Reporters filed stories before leaving the courthouse. Leavitt cleared. Bondi's strategy worked. Courtroom power clash ends. What they didn't know, what they couldn't know, was what happened next. That evening, Pam filed a sealed complaint with the Fourth Circuit. Not for revenge, for accountability. 3 days later, Judge Douglas Whitaker submitted his resignation. No explanation, no comment. But everyone understood. And Karoline, she walked out of that courthouse not just free, but unbroken. She never raised her voice, never begged. She stood her ground while others tried to move it. Pam walked beside her, silent and sure. Not because they won, but because they never let the system lose itself. And that, for anyone watching, is the real verdict. So what would you have done? Would you have stayed silent, or spoken up knowing the cost? Tell us your story in the comments. Because sometimes the system only works when someone has the courage to make it.